the room. There was a small camera visible from the outside of the wall, which was not very visible. I scanned the room for more and confirmed that there was one in the bottom corner. I started searching the entire bathroom for more cameras. I checked under the sink, but what did I find? Found 2 huge piles of VHS in very poor condition. I put a sticky note on each one with someone's name written on it, mine. I was almost nauseous and had to find my way home safely. James then knocked on the door. He asked if I was okay. I said I wasn't feeling well and asked if he could drive me home. He said okay. I stepped outside and he said he had to go too. So he went into the bathroom for the first half of the drive. He didn't say anything to me and the road he was taking me on was unfamiliar. In fact, I noticed that. The direction we were going was the exact opposite of my house. Where are we going? I asked. He looked at me and said, "What are you doing in the bathroom?" I started to get scared. I didn't answer, so he asked again in a very angry voice. We were stopped at a traffic light, so I opened the door and took the opportunity to escape from the car. I ran. Called my mom crying and telling her to come pick me up. She came as soon as she could. She immediately called James. And 5 minutes and 32 seconds the police found the tapes under her sink. Some of the tapes were worse than cleaning the kids' rooms. The scariest thing is that some of the kids on the tape are still missing to this day. He was arrested and tried for child pornography, kidnapping and some other charges. I'm glad I jumped out of the car because I don't know where he was taking me. This happened about 3 months ago. My roommate and I decided to get a used couch, so I thought Craigslist would be a great place to use furniture. I scrolled through about 3 pages and found a black leather couch. It was in really good condition and it was about $200. I told myself that this couldn't be true and I should have listened to myself. We agreed on a price and the guy asked me to meet him via my email. My roommate was working overtime outside, so I had to go alone. The address was a little out of town. The house was surrounded by trees. You had to go through the drive-thru to be able to see it. I found it. I got out of my car and knocked on the door. This room was different, small and wooden, and it looked pretty scary. When I knocked a 3rd time, I heard a scream from inside on the wooden floor. No one could have guessed it was footsteps, but it sounded like they were stomping their feet. Then I heard a soft voice through the door. "Hey, are you a couch guy?" But they were in a hurry, so I replied, Yeah. He said back, "Okay, there's the couch." I felt a little weird seeing it, but when I turned around I shook it. In the back I saw something I'll never forget. I saw 4 tall guys dressed in black with their hands together, and in front of them was a hatch and a hole with chains on it. Then I heard the same voice, "Where's your friend?" I booked it from there, and like crazy I pushed my car key in and started it. I looked out the mirror and saw the front door open. I went in first and ran out of there. What still makes me uncomfortable to this day is that I never told him in the email that I had a roommate. I was about 12 years old at the time. I was looking for some stuff to buy because I bought a lot of stuff for Christmas. The stores were really expensive, so me and my 27-year-old sister were looking for some stuff on Craigslist. We saw someone offering huge stuff for just $10. We still want that thing in my car. Help me, help me. I almost threw up and passed out. I looked through the peephole. The man's back was facing my door. I saw him. I turned around and covered the man with a black shirt I was lying on, before the doorknob could start moving. I ducked under the sink cabinet and kept quiet. He started trying to kick the door open, and finally he did. I felt like I was ready to die. I grabbed an old broom that was sitting on the cabinet. The kicking in of the door woke up my neighbors. They came running with baseball bats. My neighbor hit the man in the face with the bat and he fell to the floor. The thing I came out with. I swept and gave the man a broom, then he stood up and tried to grab me. I jumped down the stairs and ran down the street to my sister's work like I was dying. I thought I ran to the nurse's station and my head started spinning. I was crying and almost throwing up. The nurses looked at me like I was raped or something. I told them that a guy was following me and was going to kill me. They grabbed my sister and called the police. It turned out he was a serial rapist. My sister and I left, and when you decide to use Craigslist, go to college, deal locally, and if something doesn't seem right, usually I was 20 years old, still driving my grandpa's old Buick that he gave me, and I hated it. I wanted to drive something cooler and more suitable. I was making good money and I wanted to buy a Mustang, so I started searching Craigslist, and within a week I found something that seemed incredible. 2013 blue Mustang GT convertible manual transmission number. Only 32,000 M and surprisingly low price, 16,000. I saw the ad posted just 4 minutes ago, so I knew I had to act fast. I called the number listed, but it just went to voicemail. I called again, and this time on the 4th ring a man picked up the phone. I told him I was interested in the car and he started laughing and joking about how he had listed it a few minutes ago. He actually sounded almost too normal and friendly. He gave me his address and I told him I was coming. I hung up the phone at 6 o'clock and realized the guy sounded normal. I was so excited to get such a good deal that I found the location on the GPS, about an hour drive, far from downtown. I got used to the GPS. There was 2 minutes left in the drive, and I was a little confused. What the GPS said was a house. It was a bad thing. I noticed there was no Mustang anywhere, and I was even starting to feel uneasy. I got out of the car and stared at the house for 5 minutes, trying to decide if I should go and knock on the door. An hour drive is not short at all, but when something seemed so vague that you could tell, I saw the lines from the window start to shake and then the front door open and a man in his 50s came out and waved at me and gave me a smile. He actually looked a little normal. I turned off the car and went out to greet him. I asked him where the car was and he said it was in the garage. He told me to follow him inside. I didn't know why he was taking me to his house instead of the garage, but I did anyway. He closed the door behind me. Even though I was going by myself, I was able to get a good look at his house, and I must say it smelled disgusting and there wasn't much furniture in it. He led me up a short flight of stairs to a door. I heard some noises from outside the door. The guy just explained that it was his friends working on the car, which seemed strange. I also started hearing screams from upstairs as if someone was walking around. He looked up and said it must be his wife. I thought it was strange that he had to explain those words. I wouldn't have thought it was strange otherwise. He finally opened the door and I got a glimpse of his garage. It was completely empty. I took one look at the guy and when he looked back at me I knew it was time to go. I didn't say anything. I just turned around and ran towards the door, but someone was standing there, blocking it. I said, "Give them all the money in my wallet to let me go," and then the first guy came into the house with a sharp metal tool in his hand. I don't know what it was called, but I ran out of the house on the opposite side of the front door and luckily found the back door. I ran out into the backyard and got to my car. I went inside and started the engine. I looked back at the house. No one followed me. I saw the front door open again and 2 people were standing behind the storm door from inside and just seemed to be staring at me. I stood nearby until I saw the police pulling up to the house before I could point my finger at them and call the police. No matter how many people there were in the house, no one had lived in that house for years. I went home angry and upset, but I am grateful that my life was saved that night. I got a call from an unknown number. 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't answer and they didn't leave a voicemail. 10 seconds later I got a text from the same number saying look out your window. I had my curtains open and was scared of what might be out there, but I had a pretty good feeling. I called the police again to let them know I was okay. They surprisingly arrived within 3 minutes and began searching the entire premises. They saw him hiding in my bushes outside my window. He was arrested. His name is Tony Schelling. He is actually the man I met at the house. My message to everyone is, don't be stupid when using websites like Craigslist.